Staking Cardano can provide you with a nice source of passive income. Only how do you choose a good Cardano staking pool? What's up, my name is Caroline and this is Wealth in Progress, where you'll learn how to make passive income with cryptocurrencies. In this video we'll look at how you can choose a good Cardano stake pool, what you need to look out for, and what all those terms and all those things even mean when you look at all those stake pools in a wallet. If you haven't staked your Cardano already, I've got two tutorials on that, one for Yoroi wallet and one for Daedalus. I'll link both of them on top of my head and in the description, so be sure to check them out as well. Now, one more thing before we dive in, I'm currently working on a membership site that will provide you with tons of valuable information, such as technical analysis, on-chain analysis, trading signals, and the newest crypto gems. If that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter in the description down below so you can be the first to be notified when the membership is live. Alright, let's dive in. Now, the good thing about staking with Cardano is that your principal, your base Cardano that you will be staking or you will be delegating to a stake pool operator, they will always be safe. So that's really good and a really calming thought. I think you don't have to worry about that. The worst thing that can happen is if you choose a bad stake pool operator, is that you won't get any rewards, or you will get very low rewards. But so for instance, let's say you stake 1,000 Cardano, this will never be touched. The stake pool operator doesn't get your private keys, doesn't get direct access to them. All they get is your voting power. So this just means the bigger their pool gets, the more blocks they get assigned to mint. And that just means they get more rewards themselves that they can then distribute. That's really all. They don't get direct access to your Cardano and they can't do anything with your Cardano otherwise. Alright, so now choosing a good Cardano staking pool actually isn't that difficult. There are about 4 things that I would recommend looking out for. The first is ROA, the second one is saturation level, then you should look out for your pledge, and last but not least, look out for luck. These are the things that I would recommend to look out for. The rest isn't really too relevant. Now, in order to get all of this information, I recommend going to Add Pools. So I'll leave that link in the description below as well. You'll also see that once you first load your delegation list in your Yoroi wallet, you'll see that on the top right that it is actually, this information is provided by Ada Pools. So this is the place I recommend doing that. So let's first quickly look at what you'll see in your Yoroi wallet. I'll quickly explain what that all means, and then we'll go to Add Pools and I'll show you what to look out for. Alright, so this is what you'll see when you load the delegation list on the top right. So you get a list of all the stake pools. So you see down here you can go much further. So I get a list of probably about the top 100, I would guess. So what we've got here is first ROA, as I've mentioned. So that's your return, and that's probably what most of you want to look out for first. So that's what I want to look for first. And you can see there are some differences. So it's around 5%, but some are lower and then some are higher. Now the thing is that can change, and that is, for one, it's based on the fees that the pool provider can change, and they can decide themselves how much fees they want to impose. And the second thing that can change that is the saturation level. Alright, so you've got the ROA. Now next you see the pool, the share pool size, and here you can actually see the saturation. So it's not super clearly made, but currently each pool is only allowed to have 61 million Cardano staked in it. Now that's to encourage further decentralization, because the more pools exist, the more decentralized it is. And if a whole lot of Cardano would only be staked in one pool, for instance, I don't know, like a billion or something like that, that would make it much more centralized. So in order to combat that, Cardano has decided that the maximum that is allowed to be staked in one pool are 61 million. And so you can't see the saturation just by looking at it, but you actually have to calculate it. So for instance, you see here, that has 52 million ADA currently staked in it. So there's still about 9 million left until this would be fully saturated. Now don't get deceived, this number here has nothing to do with the saturation level, the percentage here. That only means the pool size, or the share, and that just stands for the amount that this pool has staked in it compared to the whole Cardano that is out there. So you can see none of them are above 1%, they're all at about 0.5 6 to 0.8%. Now what you will see is this pie chart indicates the saturation level as well. So this is your sole indicator apart from actually calculating it. So maybe we'll find one. If it's very close to being saturated, you'll see that this turns red. Okay, so what you can see here, these are all fine, they're green here, and you can also see there's still a big part of the pie left. Okay, so I quickly looked for one that I knew was going to be saturated very soon. So you can see this one, this has turned red, and there's only a very small part of the pie that's still green, and that's because it's very close to the saturation level of 6 to 1 million. Alright, now next we have the costs. So first of all, the second part, these are the Cardano, so 340 Cardano. That's the minimum level of the cost that each Cardano operator, stake pool operator has to impose. So they can't choose that. What they can choose are their own fees. So this first percentage are their own fees that they need to cover their own costs. So this is both calculated together, and this kind of cost is taken first. So the stake pool operator always gets a certain percentage of the whole Cardano that are being distributed. After they've minted new blocks, they get Cardano, and then the costs are first deducted, and then after that the rest of it is distributed to the delegators. So that would be you and me who are delegating our Cardano to the stake pools for them to be staked and to earn a reward. So you don't really need to pay too much attention to that. What's only relevant for us actually is the ROA, so on the front. So as you can see here, the costs are lower, but the ROA is still higher. And for instance, the second one here, the ROA is higher, even though the costs are higher as well. So I wouldn't even look at that. I would really only look at ROA and then also the saturation level. Now the next column are the average costs. That's not super relevant either. So that's basically just the cost that the stake pool operator has. It's not relevant for us. Now the next column is relevant, that's a pledge, and that's another thing that I would look out for. And that means how much Cardano the stake pool operator has in this pool himself or herself. So when a stake pool operator first creates a pool, they always have to stake some Cardano themselves as well. And the good thing is, the higher this number is, the more serious they probably are about it. So you can see quite some different numbers here. For instance, this one, only relatively speaking has 50k in it. Then once we go lower, you can see some of them have over 1 million in it. Now you can probably imagine that if a stake pool operator who has 1 million of their own Cardano staked in their own pool, they're not going to mess with things. They don't want to lose their rewards for 1 million or 1.6 million Cardano. So they're probably going to take it pretty seriously. On the other hand, if we look at that, you can see again the ROA is lower. So it's a bit of mix and match of looking at all those things and finding out what is the best fit for you. And then the last column are the blocks. So these are the blocks that have been minted in this current epoch. An epoch is a period of 5 days, and after each epoch, so that's when the new blocks are minted, and the stake pool operators do their thing in order to get the rewards, and then after each epoch the rewards are paid out. This isn't super relevant either because it can fluctuate, so you can see the number are quite different. If we scroll down, you also see 0, but it still pays out the reward. So it happens sometimes that you have an epoch where they mint 0 Cardano, 0 transactions, and then the next are maybe 10. Now we need to switch over to ADA pools in order to look at the lock factor. Okay, so these are the exact same list of pools that we've just looked at on Yoroi wallet, and that's because Yoroi takes the information from ADA pools. Now you can see here pretty much the exact same information as what we've looked at earlier, only there's one more column, and that is luck. And that's also a part that I would look out for. And what this calculates, or what this looks at, is how often the stake pool operator is actually online and minting new transactions and minting new blocks. So stake pools get assigned a certain amount of blocks that they should mint or process in each epoch, and that's why their service should be online at all times. Now if they miss an epoch here or there, that is not too much of a problem, but if they go offline for a certain amount of time, that means that the delegators won't receive any rewards. And so this is what the luck parameter says here. If it's at 100%, that means it's fairly steadily online, and it means 100% of the blocks that it is assigned. And it can also go a bit higher, you see here, so that just means it's a good performance, everything is as it should be. You can see some are also a bit lower. So I think until about 95% is fine. It definitely shouldn't go lower, because that means that the stake pool operator is missing a few blocks in here and there, and that could just result in lower returns. So this one would be just at the edge with 96%. I wouldn't go lower than 95. So this is just another factor to look out for. Now, with all of that knowledge, let's look at what stake pool provider we could choose here. So I would first of all always look at the rewards. So for instance, I see this one is interesting. So you can see on ADA pools we have two metrics here. So one of it is the ROA of the past month, and then one of it is lifetime. So I would want to have both of them over 5% if possible. So for instance, this one has caught my eye. These are both over 5%. Then I would next want to look at the saturation level. So one thing I forgot to mention is that things can change pretty quickly. So people or delegators can delegate their Cardano at any time, and a million or 10 million more can be achieved pretty quickly. So it is actually recommended to choose a pool that is only saturated to about 60%. So that means you can just calmly stake your Cardano and forget about it. You don't need to check on it every now and then. So you can see, 60% of 61 million would be about 35 million. You can see most of them are actually much higher. And also with this one, you see that it's probably at around, I would say, 80%. That's a bit high, and that would, I mean, it's not an issue. I could still stake it there, but then I would probably have to check every few weeks and see if it's getting saturated, and then I would have to restake it. Okay, so I found another one that has caught my eye. These are both over 5%. Now let's look at this saturation level. This is much closer to those 60%, and this would probably mean I could stake my Cardano in here and leave it for a while without anything happening. You can also see that the lock is a really good percentage, is over 100%. So that means this stake pool operator is serious, it's not missing any blocks. This is a great sign. And you can also see the pledge is pretty good. So over 1 million in pledge is a very good sign. This means they're probably not going to mess with anything that they're doing as a stake pool operator. So overall, looking at that, this would probably be a good pool to choose. Now, if you found a pool that you like, you can basically just put that, either that name or the ticker if they have a special ticker, and you can just basically look that up in your wallet. So this one is called Pilot. So you can see they have two pools. This one is a very new one. I've looked at the first ones, so in this case I will probably just delegate to the first one. So yeah, these are the main things to look out for. As you can see, it's pretty simple. There's not too much that can go wrong. In any case, your principal will be safe, so there's not too much risk involved in that anyway. In any case, it's recommended to look at your Cardano that you've delegated every now and then, just to see if it's close to getting saturated, or if the stake pool operator has changed the fees and the ROA has been going down. In that case, it's really easy to restake or to redelegate, and it's just a good idea to look at it every now and then. If you have any other questions, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you like this video, hit the like button down below, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!